What is up, people? Welcome to another 2022 ranking summit here at fantasypoints.com. I am John Hansen, our guy, Ben Kukanis, always on the other side of the glass, doesn't move, basically. We dig that about him, doesn't go outside, kind of like me in the 2000s. That's Wes Huber up there on the upper left of the screen, I think, and Scott Barrett, of course, from fantasypoints.com. And I will lead host this puppy, but Scott, I'll go right to you as a start off here. This does feel a little bit like an emergency ranking summit in that you and perhaps Wes, you have issues. You're losing sleep over some of my rankings, I guess. And is that correct? You really do you guys really just want to like gang up on me and like start a fight?
Yeah, I'm out for blood. I can't speak about Wes, but I really want to throw some bows right now, and I'm just really angry at you. And like you said, losing sleep. No, not at all. I just figured this would be a great opportunity to just kind of go back over everything. There's maybe only like two things I'm actually mad at, but everything else like looks really good. I think we have the best projections in the space, bar none. I just there's a few things that
Sure,
that I
absolutely.
think can be tweaked, but it's worth having a conversation over because we all three of us really value each other's opinions, and it's
For sure.
good, interesting, free content for the listeners.
But Wes, you look pissed. No, just kidding.
Yeah,
What's up,
don't
Wes?
back down now, Scott. You've been sending me all these fired up messages. we get on live, and then you're like, "No, everything's good." No, I'm just kidding. Scott, he comes to me and he's like, "You know what, Wes? We're about to throw down some fisticuffs," and I was like, "All right, let's do it. I got your back, bro." So
Sure.
here we are.
And I really do enjoy competition. So I'm going to keep track of the arguments and the sides that we take here, and I'll take a picture of it. I'll favorite it. We'll look back in November, and if I'm right, I'll point and laugh, and if I'm wrong, we'll act like it never happened. No, just kidding. But we're going to take some sides here, I guess, tonight, guys. So do you want to go by position, Scott? Is that ideal?
Yeah, I think that's the way to go.
All right. Well, let's start at the quarterback position. Just as an opening statement, there's been some tweakage going on here. It is tough when you have a lot of comparable options. Like, you could argue 15 dudes need to fit into the top 12. Well, that's not mathematically possible. So it's tough. Some guys are stacked really, really closely. But overall, obviously, there's a certain window, a certain element in play, maybe 20%, as much as that, for some situations that, we subject to change and adjustment when camps kick off. But overall, guys, I feel pretty damn good about these rankings and projections, Scott. So where are you going here with your first bone to pick?
You could probably guess this one. This one doesn't really make me angry, but it's just I'd like to put my opinion out there, and that's that I guess we could do a 2-for-1. I think we're too low on Matthew Stafford and too high on Joe Burrow. Me, I tend to undervalue the non-Konami code quarterback, so QB4 for Burrow is pretty high for me. I do my strength of schedule series every year, and the only reason I do that is because I think I do it better than anyone else. But I say continually throughout the piece that it's a little overrated. It's not the most important thing in the world. But for Joe Burrow, his schedule is a legitimate problem. He had the third softest strength of schedule last year. He has the fourth toughest this year. And so when you get to those polar extremes like that, it is significant. But just looking at everything within the Joe Burrow profile, I'm seeing regression. His yards per attempt, unsustainable. Yeah. His touchdown rate is really unsustainable. That's something that always tends to regress the mean. Granted, like you said, when he was coming out, I think this kid's the next Tom Brady. I think he's fucking awesome. I think him and Jamar Chase is the best quarterback to receiver combination. I think defenses are going to play a little bit more cover 2, and that could be a problem. They're still very run heavy. Volume's a significant concern with Burrow. They kind of want to be a run heavy offense when they're leading. But ultimately it boils down to this for me. And that's last season, Joe Burrow Dak Prescott and Matthew Stafford were all essentially tied in fantasy points per game. Stafford, if you include postseason, might have walloped Joe Burrow, but they were all basically tied. And so I get that we think Joe Burrow is going to be significantly better, but why don't we think Matthew Stafford's going to be significantly better? The guy just won the MVP. This is the guy Greg Cosell was hammering last year to place MVP bets on. And so to me, they're sort of the same player, but I see this massive discrepancy in ADP.
Wes, you want to chime in on any of this before I supply my retort?
Yeah, so I'm not going to get on the Joe Burrow train. I think this is I have Joe Burrow number 3. You know, I did a lot of the Superflex best balls, and if I was doing a redraft right now, Joe Burrow would be my QB3 ahead of Patrick Mahomes. I think Patrick Mahomes is the guy that is we have to consider his situation. He's going from Tyreek Hill to not Tyreek Hill, and
sure.
So I'm concerned that this offense is going to be able to keep pace with what they did last year, but we'll see. I'm not saying he's going to crash. Just I like Joe Burrow that much, and I think you're a little low on Matthew Stafford, so I'm going to agree with Scott there. I think adding Allen Robinson is going to be a big plus. I'll take Allen Robinson over Odell any day of the week, and I think they're going to get a better Cam Akers this year. I think he's going to, the further removed he is from that surgery, I think we're going to see a better player. A better backfield is going to be better for Matthew Stafford. And, he's one of the few quarterbacks in the league that is really coverage free. There's really no coverage you can throw at Matthew Stafford other than just airtight defense, just sticking with his receivers everywhere. And that's almost impossible with Cooper Kupp. So, I think a little bit higher, but and maybe even like a Russell Wilson, but nothing that I'm gonna die on a hill on here. It's a spot here or there. I think your quarterback ranks are pretty tight actually.
And for the record,
I did want to point out one guy.
Yeah,
Tua. I think Tua's
right.
Just a touch low. I think there's a lot more upside there than QB 17.
Well, in my mind, mentally, Wes, I'm baking in some room for Tua to grow here, but I got to see it, So
no, I get that. Yeah.
If we're I'm big on the vibes, and I'm not like talking like rando vibes here. I'm talking legitimate news reports we're getting from people we talk to, all that. If that's all looking good here, I'm going to elevate that a little bit, probably over Trev Lawrence. But yeah, Scott, the Burrow call is, look, I'll start with the projections. They're all, you can't really say crap about them because they're all based on complete reality, based on, the number of attempts they had last year, what direction they're going in. I'm considering all kinds of factors, the completion rate, yard per attempt, touchdown rate. It's all in line with what he's put out there. I'm also looking at a guy, obviously another year removed from the injury with Chase, a year in, and the O-line obviously upgraded. So overall, better offense. So I'm looking at a guy who's very aggressive, and I don't think you can stop that guy and slow him down at this point. Yeah, they're going to run it, mix it up, balance it offense, but guy's a gunslinger. You can't tame that dude, man. He's going to be aggressive down there and maybe throw 40. Now, and Stafford, full disclosure, if you read my draft plan article, like Stafford was my number one quarterback, basically. It was like him and Hurts in the plan, I believe, that I touted the most. So
last year?
Yeah. And we were high on him last year, higher than the markets, all that. So, I was there last year for sure.
So why do we think he is going to score fewer fantasy points this year? That's what doesn't make sense to me with Allen Robinson, and they'll probably sign OBJ when he's healthy. And
well, number one, I've heard about Robinson that, like Chicago was thinking about really using him a lot more inside. Wes, what does that tell us about a guy like Allen Robinson? Maybe he's losing a step.
Probably.
I was just pretty close to saying he quit on the Bears last year.
Yeah.
I didn't like how he played out that season. He made some nice plays. If you look at the highlights, and I went through the entire season of highlights for the Bears, and I saw him making plays throughout the season. But
it's a 2-minute long video.
Yeah.
Darnell Mooney did it all year.
Somebody did a really good job putting together all the splash plays, but it's not the splash plays I'm worried about. It's the dirty work, and he didn't do the dirty work for the Bears last year. I don't like that, but at the same time, I think we're going to see. So I will say, Scott, you mentioned strength of schedule. And I'll tell you one team I don't like their strength of the schedule that they have upcoming. And I think there's one spot you definitely need to move Stafford up on, and it's over Derek Carr. Derek Carr's schedule is
I know.
really bad,
I know.
really bad. And
Yeah.
I'm all in on Carr and the Devontae Adams thing. Like I've drafted in best ball stack in a lot of places, but I think that's one spot for sure.
Yeah, well, I will say this. He's maxed out now, so he can only go down. So the vibes are going to have to be damn good all summer, for me.
Yeah, I mean, we're pre-training camp here. Devontae Adams could tear his ACL in training camp for all we know.
Oh, yeah. No, this is peak ranking and projection without. It just happens to be a guy that I personally gravitated to. And by the way, not for nothing, I think it was 5 years ago, when he was a young quarterback, 6 years ago, that was my guy of the year.
Yeah.
I try to pick like one or two guys, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, I got to run it up the flagpole. Let me get Rich Gannon on the show. I know Rich, and he is very critical of quarterbacks. So I'm like, if you passed a damn Richie Gannon sniff test, you're good. And he did, and he was with me, MVP candidate. Didn't really work out. Just had Richie on again this week. Same deal, and he's with me. So, he believes in the whole trust element, and that's one of the reasons Carr doesn't let it rip. But Rich also does bring up that good point. The dude just won't run. So
no, when you go back to 2000 and 2015, 2016, Derek Carr was on a path to becoming one of the elite quarterbacks in the league. When the Michael Crabtree and Amari Cooper, when that thing was clicking, man, I was all in, man. I thought it was the hills for Derek Carr. Yep. And then Michael Crabtree got old the next season, and it just so happens to coincide with Amari Cooper falling off a cliff,
Right.
And they trade him away. And even though his yards per attempt has gone up by, I think, at least 10%, he's a much better quarterback now. And I'm still drafting him. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, I'm banking on him having a career year this year. But Stafford, man, how good?
Well, how about losing Andrew Whitworth at left tackle?
That's a thing.
They don't currently have OBJ. They did very little. Here's my contention. They did very little at receiver. Allen Robinson is a declining player, in my opinion. Now, he should be pretty good fit, run after the catch and the intermediate passing game and all that. But they didn't do much else. So you're basically banking on, Cooper Kupp, you literally had the most of everything in NFL history last year. We need you to do that again.
Yeah. I don't think that's going to stop. The Cooper Kupp stuff, it's going to continue.
Sure, but he's only going to catch 119 balls.
But if you're saying it's based off of the left tackle, and then off of the Allen Robinson, sure, I get that. I get that, because it's going to take a little time for Allen Robinson to kick into gear with Stafford. But as long as
we're not sure that Cam Akers is going to ever be Cam Akers.
I don't know, man.
Right, but that just means maybe more passing touchdowns, things like that. I think the bottom line is, I don't see this offense being any worse. And for Stafford in particular, beyond the supporting cast, it's just his second year with a full offseason in this Sean McVay offense, who's a proven, wonderkind genius play caller.
So you're on the Stafford camp. I'm going to say,
let me say this right now. Your top 15 is tight. I like it. It is super tight. And if you have to look at these quarterbacks, man, it's just an exciting time for the NFL. And even with Kirk Cousins with that offense, I'm loving what I'm hearing out of camp there for the Vikings. I think it's just so tight that I really don't think you need to make any changes. But at the same time, I think that, like you said with Tua, I think as we progress and get closer to the season, some slight tweaks need to be made.
He'll go over Lawrence.
So I don't know that Tua needs to get moved at all. Maybe one spot. I'd take him above Trevor.
Right.
All I'll say is like Tyreek is maybe the number one difference maker in the NFL still, I think. And at 2017, Alex Smith might be in Tua's range of outcomes, both severely limited deep passers.
Right.
But then again, I mean, the team's done everything they could to replace this guy with Tom Brady, Deshaun Watson.
I don't think we can really say that about Tua until he actually has a deep receiver.
Okay.
Well,
so
he's got
two more things.
What do you mean, Wes? He's got him now. You're talking about
No. I'm saying like, so what, based off of what we see from Tua, who's the deep receiver that we're saying he can't throw deep? Well, who is the receiver that he played with? Maybe if he had
Waddle is a speed freak who was used exclusively as a low ADOT guy.
No, you're right. No. When he was at Alabama, I liked his deep game was good.
It would make sense to use Waddle in that regard because he's got a year with Tua.
But they just weren't able to manipulate the safeties enough to use Waddle deep. They kept throwing underneath and intermediate to him because the safeties weren't buying it. Who was pulling that safety attention? There was nobody there.
Right.
And then the other thing I would say, Davis Mills is a touch low.
Yeah,
I think he's got the potential to be in that 25 range, but it's the same deal. I'm not going to die on a hill here because
I can see it. I mean, Mariota, I'm hardly sold on him, but you got to bake in a little rushing there. And
he does. Yeah.
I hear you. I will say quickly before we move on, Wes, and I know you're down, but I just generally, I just got to get it out there. I love me some McCorkle Jones, baby. This guy is going to have a multiple 40 touchdown seasons before he calls it a career.
If he gets the right receivers in there, I will not argue with that. Yeah. He needs them to put the right type of players around him, and I'm all in. I think Mac Jones has got the accuracy it's up there with everybody. I mean, by the time he's at the point of Aaron Rodgers, that age, I mean, he could be a Hall of Fame type player if New England surrounds him with the right type of receivers. Like, stop thinking about the deep stuff. Put the type of receivers that know how to get open, and Mac Jones is just going to beast.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we're moving on to running backs. I will say
nope. So two guys who really, really stand out to me are Trey Lance and Justin Fields. And I love to chase those Konami guys.
Yep.
But I'm getting Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson vibes. Now, I'm not saying that's what they're going to do, but just the situations are eerily similar to me where they jettison a proven quarterback. They're going to get rid of Jimmy Garoppolo. All the hype in the offseason has been immense praise from the GM regarding what they believe in the sophomore quarterback. So Trey Lance, he ranked he averaged 0.75 fantasy points per draft back last year. That ranks fifth best this past decade. That's the best stat you could use for quarterbacks. So just that rushing potential is so high. I think Debo sticks around, and Kittle, Ayuk, that's attractive to me. Justin Fields, that was one of Wes's guys, but it looked atrocious, but it's reminding me of Lamar Jackson's freshman season where it wasn't an offense tailored to his skill set. And this year it's an offense tailored to his skill set. And you cannot underrate that. We're more RPOs, more QB design runs. So just the rushing potential there seems really high to me that, and with these Konami code quarterbacks, they're the most consistent, the most predictable, the highest ceiling, and the highest floor week over week. So those are just two guys I like a lot more than where we have them.
Did you see the picture I posted of Justin Fields? The dude is just bulked. He looks like, oh man, he's put on every bit as much muscle as Zach Wilson, which is what we want to see from these young guys. We want to see them working their butts off, but at least we know that.
Scott, I will answer your Trey Lance question. And this is just a technicality because right now Jimmy G is still there. So I simply have him projected for only 14 games. However, if you sort on our site, fantasypoints.com, points per game Among all quarterbacks with at least 3 starts, Trey Lance is projected as QB7.
No, I think like I said, top 15 is tight. And Fields and Lance, man, they could really move up. I just think, right now, just kind of hedging your bets on what we know and that kind of thing is.
These guys are in play here. Once you get outside of the top 15, some dudes are in play.
Yeah,
they can move.
I just have one more minor thing.
Yeah,
I think we're too low on everyone in Detroit. Like, I don't care where you rank Jared Goff. I like him a lot more than where you have him, but I really don't care. Just like everyone in Detroit, and I know that feeds into the offensive, for everyone. Yeah. It's just you cannot underrate the incompetence of Anthony Lynn. And once he was out of the picture, that offense was rolling from a fantasy perspective, despite David Blau starting 4 games, despite TJ Hawkinson playing only 1 game.
It's a good point. I mean, it's a good point, because I guess with him, I'm not baking in basically enough upside based on the promise that they showed last year. I'm a little too biased on freaking Jared Goff being a declining player the last 3 years, but you're right. And, the O-line's damn good. It would be nice if they had Jameson Williams. But no, I hear you. I could see moving him up. In fact, Scott, I just gave him a touchdown. Look at that.
One guy had moved down.
Yeah.
Daniel Jones.
No, I'll fight you on that one.
Yeah, I'm going to go with it this year, just because of the improved coaching.
Yeah, no. I'm not going to die on a hill here, but
best schedule this year, best supporting cast of the year, improved pace of play.
They may have the best tackle tandem in football already.
He runs and he gets 3rd-degree concussions, and he doesn't need to run because he gets 3rd-degree concussions. But you know what? I'm just going to leave it alone. I'm going to leave it alone.
Yeah.
All right.
How great though is Andrew Thomas though, and Evan Neal potentially.
Oh yeah, no, I do like that O-line much better. Much better.
I mean, the interior probably still stinks, but
yeah.
All right, running backs.
Yeah.
I will say, running back is traditionally my least accurate position. Obviously, the volatility.
That's maybe my best position.
Yeah, I mean
it's going to be the toughest for everyone, but
I'm like a swing for the fences guy, I guess. I mean, I've had a lot of great calls, but I think if you grind it out, I'm not as sharp, over the long haul on the rankings, I think.
First impression, I love Eckler over CMC. I love it.
Oof, that's the one I was going to pick on.
You and I are back and forth there. I get it. So, same with Tribby. We're both like,
and Scott,
there.
I'll quickly interject. Like, Eckler is Eckler. This is static. Like, if he blows up, he ain't blowing up in camp, right? I mean, if everything's status quo, he's not moving. McCaffrey could move a little bit, and they're only separated by like 1.5 points. So
I will just say Eckler could move depending on one thing, and that's like the vibes on Isaiah Spiller.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to be good, but we have to remember. No. So Eckler led the league in touchdowns last year, but the year before that, he only had 3 touchdowns, and he was given only 40% of the near end zone work. That wasn't his role. Last year it was. So if they give that to Spiller, you could see a massive touchdown regression for Eckler. That's going to come regardless.
I'm the guy who didn't like Eckler as the number 1 pick last year. Scott, you're preaching to the choir there.
Mm-hmm. And then just McCaffrey has.
It wasn't like he was running the ball in from the 1-yard line.
Yeah.
Right, but I mean that regresses to the mean. Granted, Eckler is one of the top 5 most efficient fantasy running backs in football over the last 10 years. But I mean that I'm being nitpicky. The real thing to me is just Christian McCaffrey, when he's healthy and on the field, is the most valuable player in fantasy by a landslide. And so it's just a question.
The exact same thing last summer.
The pre-injury.
I mean, it was still true.
I know it's still true. I know it's still true, but we're now we don't even need a time machine. We're literally a year later doing the exact same thing.
I would put Cook above McCaffrey.
But that just has to be baked into it, Scott. We can't just go.
You have him RB3 by fantasy points per game.
Oh, well, okay. but we're not going 2 or 1 or whatever. I mean, you know what that is? That's an homage to Scott Barrett. Okay, I ranked him that high so I didn't have to hear from him.
Right.
I love that you have Javonte there though, because I think I'm seeing him last into the 3rd round of redrafts.
It's ridiculous.
What is going on?
People
not
lost
realize
their
how
minds.
good this offense is going to be with Russell Wilson.
Right.
We just had a season with Teddy Bridgewater at quarterback. Do you not think there's going to be a lot more points scored for Denver this year? Javonte is one of the top values on the board right now.
And with him, and it's similar to Burrow, guys. And look, maybe that's just me. I'm old school. I don't give a shit about whatever data or metric you can throw at me. Okay. I have the gift of sight. I have a history of making good calls from when I was freaking 8 years old. All right. Joe Burrow is a transcendent talent. And maybe Javonte too. He's pretty damn close. So I'll take my chances with those guys just as a general statement. That's what I do. That's what I did in 1989 when I took Barry Sanders 10 overall, baby, in my league. And people are like, what are you doing?
Stick to it, man.
So that's the right way. That's the right way to think about this and look at this. Like all the regression stats and all the ancillary stats I'm referencing, that's true 93% of the time. It's not true for the outliers. And the outliers are the players who swing leagues are true generational talents. Yeah, absolutely. And Javonte Williams set the PFF college record for missed tackles forced per touch. That's the best running back stat. Last year, he had the 3rd best ever season in PFF history. The guy is special. I mean, the concern, obviously, a committee was a 50-50 split last year. Even if it's 60-40, he probably doesn't pay off his this ranking like at all. But again, it's like the Jonathan Taylor thing last year, where talent does tend to rise to the top, and we know this is a very talented player.
Well, so 60-40 plus all of the receiving work. Well, the majority
plus more red zone opportunities, more.
I only bumped his projection up. It's not much over what he did last year.
Hey, and about Joe Burrow, we haven't seen him hit his ceiling yet.
No,
did you see what he did from year 1 at LSU to year 2?
100%.
We haven't seen that yet.
That's the story of my
that's coming.
My career, if you will. Like if I see a future Hall of Fame guy still ascending, I'm like, oh yeah, you're down. I'm like Andrew Luck. I like prayed
it's right
to
here.
the altar of Andrew Luck. Because it's obviously this guy's a superstar.
Super stud.
Yeah.
Super stud. Nobody could stop him last year.
He was one of my favorites.
Get to the point where he does that from the beginning to the end of the year. And I am not even a Cincinnati Bengals fan. I am telling you, this guy is the next Aaron Rodgers / Tom Brady in the NFL.
100%. Done deal. Lock it in. I mean, again, guys, he goes to a press conference wearing old lady glasses and pulls it off. Enough said.
He's out here making political statements and pulling it off.
Is he really?
Oh, he's talking about the Roe versus Wade thing, and I didn't see anybody responding negatively to what he said.
See that? That's how you
live
your life.
The power of the people.
I'm going to be such a badass that I'm in full DGF mode and no one's going to say shit. Right?
Yeah. So I would pinch Cam Akers and Darrell Henderson closer together. But we don't have to have this debate because I know Graham disagrees. I know Joe disagrees, but really just that this injury is typically the death knell of death knells for running backs. The one thing
you're bringing in health data though that's ancient.
Are you against what's up with the rank? I mean, we do have it below the market. We've been below all year.
It's just he didn't look good when he came back.
Yeah,
granted, it was a ridiculous timeline, but Achilles injuries, running backs tend to never recover from that.
Never.
They're permanently.
Well,
I don't think he was terrific last year, and that was after how many years off? And this is a running back who had the 4th best speed score ever.
Did you see
and he definitely doesn't have that anymore.
The Tennessee O-line is not good, and he did well behind that line.
He's also the best running back of like 50 qualifiers. If you look,
it wasn't a ton of carries too. What do you get? 110 carries.
Well, all I'm saying is Cam Akers had a job to do, and that was to get back on the field, help his team win the Super Bowl. He did that.
Yeah.
I'm seeing a decline in efficiency plus extremely heightened injury risk. That's what I see there.
Okay, so how many Achilles tears have ever been repeated?
No, you get compensatory injuries.
Okay,
so it's like opposite side ankle.
You're going out on the island for Darrell Henderson. He ranks 64th among qualifying running backs in elusive rating and 65th in yards per route run. That is not an island I'm going to die on. That guy has disappointed as bad as any running back in the NFL.
Who's that, Wes? Is that Cam?
Darrell Henderson.
No, Darrell Henderson.
Okay.
That is not an argument that I'm gonna die on. And when Kyron Williams comes back, he's gonna be at risk of dropping to third on the depth chart. There's nobody. This
episode is sponsored by Peroni. Drink Peroni; it's delicious.
There's nobody on that roster to compete with Cam Akers.
I just don't think we see too much of him next year, honestly, and I don't think it's going to look pretty for, granted, maybe all the running backs. And that's another reason to like Matt Stafford. But the two running backs I do kind of want to plant a flag for, and I think I'm going to get some heat for this, is Ezekiel Elliott and especially David Montgomery. So the narrative on Zeke is like, oh, he's a declining player, poor efficiency. Tony Pollard looks awesome. And like, yes, but you have to remember Zeke played with a torn PCL for 75% of last season. He played without Dak for 66% of the prior season. That's not really being factored in. If you only look at the other games, he was like an easy top 3 running back, which is all he's ever been prior to that stretch. And so I think the Pollard hype, it's like if Zeke had a torn PCL for 75% of the season and he still can't get a dozen touches per game, I don't think he's ever going to. And then
that might change though, Scott, because there's an out after this year. I feel like maybe last year, looking at it, Jerry may have been like, I'm paying Zeke, we're running Zeke, but there is an out where they can bail after this year. So if the effectiveness isn't there, they may just say screw it, and I'm not saying bench him, but maybe flip a little bit of the script there in favor of Pollard.
Or just run him into the ground. But no, I think your narrative's probably the right one. And the David Montgomery argument, at least, is like, I think, a lot easier. He had a much more valuable role in the second half of the season when he was more heavily involved in the passing game. That's usually a big concern for hypermobile quarterbacks. They increase a running back's yards per carry efficiency by a lot, but they don't tend to target running backs. But that's not what we saw in Montgomery's final 6 games last year. He ranked 3rd in carries, 1st in targets, 1st in XFP, 1st in XTD, and 3rd in fantasy points scored. And he's the RB20 by ADP. I think this is a talented running back. And
we have him at 18, though. So we have him over the market.
I'd have him like RB14.
Oh, all right. Well, let's take a look at who you think he should be over. For the record,
for sure. I mean,
I'm not a big Montgomery guy.
Are we not factoring?
I'd say RB15, RB16 at a minimum, but
over Cam Akers is very fair.
But what about Alvin Kamara? Are we not building in his upcoming suspension? I mean, he's looking at 6+ games here.
I mean,
according to Mike Florio,
it's an impossible job.
Yeah,
I'm
just saying that would be another guy I would consider
for sure.
Yeah, dropping or moving Montgomery.
So that could put Montgomery at RB16 at worst, there with ETN, and
see, I think Cam Akers, even if he's just a little bit better than he was last year in this offense, he's going to score. And I mean, it's just we saw last year with Darrell Henderson, as bad as he played, his first 7 games he scored 7 touchdowns. And I didn't even bring statistics with me. I'm just pulling this stuff off the top of my head.
Yeah.
And Akers, man, I think he's just in this offense alone. It's just like we can't make the argument for Matthew Stafford if we're not making the same type of argument for the backfield in general. and I think
with Akers, it's just I got to, for me, I just we got to get an eyeball test here. We got to see what things are looking like with the pads on, and can we get 3, 4, 5 carries in the preseason? That'd be nice. That's
as
not a
far
lot.
as health concerns, the guy I'm worried about a little bit is Dobbins because I'm worried they're gonna limit his workload, and that's a concern for me, and we'll see. I know. My very first coverage mentor was Bobby Slowick, and he's going to be the offensive coordinator at San Francisco now. And I'm going to tell you, Elijah Mitchell is going to get a lot of run. So the two things he loves is to run the ball, and he loves big, fast wide receivers. Hence the Danny Gray pick.
Mm-hmm.
And you can count, as long as he's in that role, you can count on them drafting that type of wide receiver, and you can count on them just pounding the ball on the ground. I mean, they got the top run blocking offensive line, the top run blocking tight end. If Elijah Mitchell can stay on the field, and I think he's gonna pad up this year, he's gonna get up closer to what he played at Louisiana. I think that's a little low for Elijah Mitchell.
I think I'm baking in some time missed there. Maybe it's unfair.
6 games. He did.
Yeah, so I'm only giving him West 13 games, but I bet you in fantasy points per game on the site, he's pretty high. I'll look it up now because I feel like I'm giving him the respect that he deserved from last year in the rankings here. Well, let's take a look where Mitchell comes in. Yup. RB 15, Wes, in points per game.
That's then, I didn't even factor that. So like I said, I've yet to really come. Okay, so here's one.
You can't nitpick guys because they're perfect. Let's be honest here.
Okay, now I'm going to start arguing. Rashad Penny led the NFL in elusive rating last year. I think that's very low for him. I think he's going to be the starter. And, I get the Kenneth Walker love. I'm actually stacking the two in as many spots as I can, best balls. But, Cordero Patterson averaged the lowest yards per carry in the NFL. He's not good at football. He needs to be a special teams returner. And then Dameon Pierce. So I like Dameon Pierce. He's the most talented running back on the roster. At the same time, you look at Pep Hamilton, you look at what he did at Stanford, you look at his career as an offensive coordinator, and he has never given a heavy workload to a running back.
I can see
young
that.
Young running back. It's always his senior guys.
Hey, but Dameon Pierce, if he gets 180 carries, catches 19 balls, scores 7 tutties, he'll deliver.
I'll be shocked.
I think he's
year two. I like it.
I think he's the perfect example of why rankings sort of provide more value than projections typically, because Dameon Pierce to me is probably worth 0 through the first 8 weeks of the season. But then if he gets a bell cow workload in the second half, he's going to be worth exponentially more than whatever his projections are because those playoff weeks are so valuable. And I was pessimistic, like Wes, for the reasons he cited, but also watching that post-draft presser, it's like, I don't think this kid's better than any other running back we have on the team. We need depth and we need primarily special teams help. That's how he's going to contribute, special teams. Yeah, but I mean, the beat writers are saying he looks awesome, and do you think this should be his backfield in the second half? It's Marlon Mack, another Achilles guy, and it's Rex Burkhead, and it's I don't know.
It'll be his backfield by week 4.
Hey, it could be.
It won't be any
I love
backfield. It'll be a share all season.
But he'll be the primary guy.
Primary for Pep Hamilton is 50%.
Hey.
This was the most polarizing prospect for me during the draft process, and it's still just as polarizing and difficult to decide.
I mean, what do I know? But I liked him at the Senior Bowl. He popped off the field to me. I was watching live for 2 days. I'm like, this kid got some pop. So anything else at running back?
I'm good on running backs.
It's tough too, guys, because even the Walker.
I think it's just fun to talk about the stuff.
It's right. It's based on a positional battle that is basically hasn't kicked off yet. You know,
I can go ahead and throw it out there. The Cooper Kupp, Justin Jefferson argument is I'm in Scott's favor.
okay. Oh,
There's no question. We're talking about a guy that could put up just. Has he hit his ceiling yet? You know what I mean? We
What?
don't really know. This guy's ridiculous.
Kupp.
I'm sorry.
You're telling me you think Cooper Kupp might not have hit his ceiling?
Okay, so if a guy goes out and puts up those numbers one year, do you stop targeting the next? I think you even throw to him even more. See if there is a ceiling. See if there is.
I would have been with you in 1989, Wes. I just don't see it in 2022. A guy coming off the busiest season in the history of the NFL,
and they won a Super Bowl. I don't think you stop.
Here's the argument that settles it, I think, in one stat. If Cooper Kupp averaged 55 fewer yards per game, he still would have finished as the overall wide receiver 1. So you can bake in as much regression as you want, but no. The guy who just had the best fantasy season in NFL history, better than Jerry Rice, I am taking wide receiver 1. And hey, I'm okay. I could live with Justin Jefferson wide receiver 1 because you feel so strongly about it. But we need to lock in a bet. Oh,
yeah. You know, and Cooper Kupp has had a couple serious knee injuries, guys. He's 29 now.
Yeah.
He's 6 years older.
I think when a player shows that he's able to take the field and do it consistently without re-injury, we can move on from those.
That's fair.
You also age more gracefully in the slot, like Larry Fitzgerald did.
That's fair.
By all reports, he was faster after his most recent injury, and like to the shock of all beat writers and coaches. And it also means, you can't get negated in games. There's not going to be a shadow cornerback to shut you down. You can scheme open production and volume.
Same with Jefferson, by the way, in maybe that same role.
By the way,
so that was
you look at my Devi stuff. Or my dynasty stuff. Yeah, he's number 1. I love Jamar Chase. Jefferson, he's my guy.
Do you know who Jefferson's play caller is this year? It was Cooper Kupp's play caller last year. Would not shock me if it's just the same role and he smashes just like Cooper Kupp smashed. But I cannot on
can't do
on Vanilla Rice.
Yeah, I can't, Scott. I'm doing an underdog. I just took Cooper Kupp number 2 overall. He's going to blow up again.
Here's a lesson that I will go to the grave without bailing. Never, ever turn your back on a proven stud who's done it multiple years and is still 23 years old or younger. Never turn your back on those types, ever.
You're an ageist, John.
Last year, Jonathan Taylor.
You're just an ageist.
I am. Oh, big time.
It's 2022, John. Like,
I bail on music groups, Scott. I bail on music acts. My favorite bands of the 2000s are all dead to me. All right.
We're not getting anywhere on this one, Scott. We can move on.
Yeah. No, I know that. I knew that coming in. Stop me when I've said something interesting. I think we're a little too high on CeeDee Lamb, a little too high on DJ Moore. I think we're way too low on Adam Thielen, way too low on Tyler Lockett. You want to talk any of those guys?
Well, isn't Thielen's yard per route run down 3 years in a row?
It's up from like third best in the league, and you have to factor in the injuries. So if you adjust for injuries, he's finished as an easy wide receiver 1 in each of the past 5 seasons.
And I've loved him the last 2 years, by the way. Full disclosure.
And yards per route run, but you got to look at the touchdown thing. Like, this is Kirky's guy in the end zone.
But Wes, getting fed. More 11 personnel, fewer targets for Thielen?
It's going to be a more 11 personnel. There's no question. Yeah.
Fewer targets?
It's possible. I'm scared to death of Adam Thielen because
me too.
His hamstrings.
He could be the slot guy. No, I think that's entirely. So this is where you guys are going to trash me, and feel free to trash me. But sponsored by Whoop. I got this watch or whatever, and I was listening to a podcast. He had Adam Thielen on, and he was like, no, you don't understand how seriously I take my health. Like, I wear blue light blocking glasses every time I look at my phone. I do this like intense sauna regimen and all this stuff. He was like,
a little paralysis by overanalysis, perhaps a little too much.
No, he was saying that the injury that occurred last season was a total fluke injury caused by a helmet hitting his ankle or whatever, and there's just no way to avoid that. He's got his soft tissue injuries in check 2 years ago, and he was saying, listen, like, I know you're not going to believe me and you're going to think this is ridiculous, but like, I swear it's true. I was the fastest I've ever been last year. I was in the best shape of my life. So like, granted, that's all. Yeah, it's always bullshit, but like, I don't know. He's sold me in that regard, and just like the bottom line is like, when he's healthy, he's only ever been a wide receiver 1, and he's priced like a low end wide receiver 3, which just like makes no sense to me.
Isn't he going to turn 35 this season?
He's 30.
Yeah, but again, he's also someone you can move to the slot. Yeah. We were saying that with Jefferson, but like, if I were the coach, that's what I would do.
Yeah. I mean, my answer is, Scott, again, I'm an ageist. And
I know.
With receivers, though, man, like when it goes below the waist, it doesn't tend to come back. When you start getting these lingering things, I know that was fluky, but he's had other issues.
I mean, that was 2 years before that. He's also like a technician and like one of the best, and like
he doesn't have great.
He's also
speed and quickness to lose in the first place. I get it.
No, that's wrong. So like, people say he's like sneaky athletic. He's an all-time freak athlete. There's a YouTube video of him running the fastest 3-cone of any wide receiver ever.
All right, yeah, but I've always known that. I mean, I'm a Vikings fan, so I actually called it on NFL radio the game he broke out in, whatever that was, 10 years ago at this point. But anyway.
So the guy that instantly, there's other guys Scott mentioned, but I do want to throw a guy out, and then we can go back to the guys that Scott mentioned. Russell Gage, too low.
Yeah. I've just got a bad vibe
saying
on the
that.
Bucs.
Too low.
How do you have a bad vibe on the Bucs when last year he had 3 wide receivers finished as wide receiver 1s by fantasy points per game? Gronk is not there anymore. Godwin's going to miss half the season. Brady personally recruited Gage. He targets slot wide receivers at the highest rate in the NFL, and so does this offense. The Bruce Arians offense has always.
Yeah.
And Gage showed us he's not just a complimentary player. This guy can ball.
He wasn't that great, though. I think people are overrating him a little bit.
Look at the offense he was in. You got Mike Evans on the other side of the field. We're talking some serious playmaking ability here.
I saw him make some plays with dudes draped all over his ass. I can tell you that.
Okay, all right.
I respect what he did, though, guys. I respect what he did last year.
I'm going to come in and clean him out from under your nose every single draft.
Hey, full disclosure, I picked the Bucs to win the Super Bowl the year they won it, and last year I did love Brady, and I'm all in on that. All that. I'm just, the Arians thing, the retirement, the unretirement. No Gronk, offensive line a little reshuffled. Godwin,
Brady.
I know. His
soul to the devil and 10,000 other souls, and like, he's end of the day, they win another Super Bowl, he retires.
Look, he's wide receiver 36. We've got him at 39. That's pretty close. I mean, we can go a little higher.
Well,
you like him over Ayuk?
36, I wouldn't be arguing.
Yes.
Now.
Yeah. How about Christian Kirk?
I like Gage over him every day of the week.
Yeah.
I mean, same, but I like Kirk.
I do too. I think when you're talking about the top 40, you're talking about guys that you like.
America's top 40.
Yeah.
Russell Gage, normally a Jag. Oh, sorry.
No.
What else?
A former Jag now with the Jags, Christian Kirk.
Yeah. What do you guys think of my Sky Moore love, though? I'm surprised you haven't brought him up yet.
I absolutely hate it.
No,
MVS is the wide receiver 1.
Oh, yeah.
He's being paid wide receiber 1 money. Every beat writer is hyping him up as the wide receiver 1.
You guys are gonna just bow down.
Sky Moore is mediocre and was drafted as though he were mediocre.
I think
wide receiver 13 in the class.
As long as Sky Moore and MVS are your top 2 guys, we're good. but it doesn't look that way. It looks like you've got Sky Moore, MVS, and then
Right.
at least you don't have Juju up there. Oh my good Lord!
Oh,
right
my
after
God.
MVS.
The most egregiously priced player in all of fantasy football.
He is making $45K over the veteran minimum.
Yeah, come on. Well,
He's
and
going
isn't
in
that
the
one?
third
Isn't that yet
round.
another reason to love Sky Moore?
No, I love Sky Moore.
Yeah, I think
I
Justin
like
Ross
MVS too.
might be better than Sky Moore. I just like I don't know.
Look,
I just don't see the
how about this one,
the
Scott?
case to be made for him this high. Yeah.
Our guy Kaplan has talked to, multiple, like I think it's like 5 or 6 wide receiver coaches. They all love Sky Moore as like kind of their guy of the draft. Like this guy's beloved.
Yeah. No,
and why was he the 13th wide receiver drafted? And
it's
why
one of the
did
greatest wide receiver
down?
classes of
was
all
a great
time.
class.
5 wide receivers go. Yeah.
But,
I get it, but I think MVS is the wide receiver one more.
Yeah.
I mean, like
or
I really don't hate him, but like his
thing.
ADP.
Yeah. Because we know Mahomes is going to target the inside. He's got just a man crush on the slot.
Okay.
There's no way it's going to be that much separation between the two. They gave Marquez 3 years and $30 million.
Okay, he's your outside. He'll line him up outside.
He will. And
because when I asked Sky Moore where he's going to line up or should line up, he did say, "Oh, I'd be best in the slot." He did line up outside, but he said, "Look, I'm best in the slot right away," which he will be.
Well, I will say this. Look.
Juju says the same thing, by the way.
MVS has been living under.
Juju's too busy doing TikTok videos.
MVS has been living under the Devontae Adams rock for a long time. Sky Moore is not the Devontae Adams rock. We're going to see more production out of MVS in this. They have to. It's a 1A, 1B situation. There's no way Sky Moore is going to blow up without MVS playing well in unison.
I can't wait till how this one plays out, because I can tell you guys unequivocally, I've been doing these interviews with players for 20 years.
Yeah.
Sky Moore, perhaps my favorite of all time. Valdez Scantling, the shittiest, most boring interview of all time. Just saying.
Hey, I'm going to say I learned quite a bit from you in that regard, because I never really put much into that until going to the combine and listening to these kids talk. And there were some kids like a guy like the running back drafted by Tampa Bay,
Rachaad White.
I was so impressed by that kid.
Yep.
Or John Mechie. I mean, that kid.
Oh yeah.
He's got his head together.
Oh hell yeah.
That kid knows what he wants.
That's my cheat code right there, man.
Yeah. And then you got guys, and then is it a big shock that Jerrion Ealy didn't get drafted?
Boom.
He was
a wise ass.
It was like talking to a wall.
Yeah.
It seriously was. I mean, and I think there is something to that. At the same time, I'm not saying that you need to move MVS above Sky Moore. I'm saying maybe bring them closer together. But
yeah, I mean, look, and to be honest, this is a proactive projection. Like, he's going to have to freaking flip out to keep this spot for sure. I'll bail. I'll retreat if it's not going well. Trust me.
Here's something. So, Scott, how can we have Aaron Rodgers at what was he, number 12 or something? And then his wide receiver one is down here at 42.
Yeah.
Because they're gonna sign Julio Jones and Will Fuller.
Julio Jones.
Oh, he's a mummy at this point.
If they get Will Fuller, I'd get behind that. But Julio.
I'm betting against the Julio narrative, because this is a guy who had 8 straight seasons with at least 85 yards per game. That's the most in NFL history. It's the only time it's ever been done 8 years in a row. And then he had one bad season. Who knows what went into that? Maybe he just didn't give a shit. Maybe he was hurt. But I'm willing to give him
Julio last year.
Yeah, and if he goes to Green Bay,
the top team in the AFC, if he doesn't care, then he needs to be out of the league.
He does, and that's where he will be, Wes. I said this last year. I said he was done last year. Last summer, I said it's over.
Super Bowl. If he doesn't care? Oh
He
my
doesn't.
God.
It's done. It's done, man. It's over.
So I have a question. I have a question for you, Wes.
Yeah.
One concern I have with Kansas City, but also the New York Jets, is I think we could be looking at a 4-way wide receiver by committee situation, because that's what Andy Reid's done the past 3 years outside of Tyreek Hill. And it's just like hard to notice because those guys like were only ever going to be irrelevant. But it was like Byron Pringle, 66% of the routes, Demarcus Robinson, 66, Josh Gordon, Mecole Hardman, 40% each, and it's something like that. And we also saw that with the Jets last year, and like they love Braxton Berrios. So like it wouldn't shock me. Is that something you ever really think about or look into? Usually I just like ignore it, or just like it doesn't happen. It's rare.
So I think it's going to come down to what Patrick Mahomes sees, and I think he's gonna go into the first couple of weeks, and he's gonna say, "Look, these are the guys that are getting open. These are the guys I need on the field." And I can't imagine a situation where he doesn't just zone in on his guys, and I don't see that being the case for Juju. Juju has averaged 1.48 yards per route run or something combined his last 2 seasons with Ben Roethlisberger. If you're not just dominating on underneath targets with the old Ben Roethlisberger, you're done.
Yeah. And Wes, let me pick up exactly what you just said, because MVS gonna have to go outside. Hey, fine, he can run like a deer. Mecole Hardman stinks. Juju's toast. So guess what? Sky Moore will be in the slot. He's got the biggest hands in the class. Freaking meat hooks. Doesn't drop a damn thing. He also has that, and I talked with him about it in depth. The best, and it was a Wes Huber stat that I gave to actually Sky Moore, Wes, supplied by you. The best, what was it, 10-yard split time?
I don't have it pulled up.
And he talked about that. He ranked way up there. He wasn't the best, but the dudes on the list were impressive.
Yeah.
And he talked about that initial burst. So he's going to get off that line with the burst and catch and be a reliable volume receiver with those big ass meat hooks for Mahomes.
No, it's going to be a 3-man race. It's going to be Travis Kelce first. And then we're going to have Sky Moore and MVS. And I think
Sky Moore will finish the team second in receptions.
So why I brought this up is just like every coaching interview is like, listen, Travis Kelce is going to get his targets and his yards. But outside of that, we are going to spread the ball around. We're going to spread it around. It's going to be
that's good for the coaches.
Juju Smith-Schuster, MVS, it's Justin Ross, it's Mecole Hardman, it's Sky. And like they're mentioning like 8 guys. Listen, we did this last time, so we don't have to spend too much time on it. I got a few more for you though.
Okay.
We are way too low on Robert Woods. We are way too high on Treylon Burks.
Yeah.
All the vibes
I hate
on this.
Burks. I don't like Burks at all.
He can't even breathe.
Let's nuke him.
How did he get drafted? Is there a worse job of scouting than the Tennessee Titans? I mean, somebody needs to get fired. This guy can't even stay on the practice field.
We've been
the guy who's
below
crying
the
all the
damn
time?
markets on Burks all year. The market's just crashing. That's what it is.
Is this the same GM who cried?
Oh my God!
This drove Wes crazy.
Oh, he cried?
Oh yeah, you didn't see.
He cried?
He cried at the combine when somebody brought up losing in the playoffs.
Oh, you're talking about John Robinson, the GM.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was there. I walked away. Actually, it was a little awkward.
It's not the type of behavior that you want to see from a guy making those kind of dollars. You want to see a little composure.
It was a little emotional.
Yeah.
Like, dude, relax. It is football. Like, we didn't just lose World War III or something.
And it wasn't like they got blown out or something.
Well, they were just so devastated. I'm like, okay, we get it. Move on.
We all do.
It's a game. Yeah, it was like literally life or death. Like Tannehill had to go to a therapist.
No, I get that. No, I do
get that. Yeah,
but
I get that.
He took care of that before the combine. He's not doing interviews and crying like a little schoolgirl.
Oh, hot take there. Hey, somebody had to say it, Wes. I'm glad it wasn't me.
Yeah. Hey,
Yeah.
I'll say I'm not here. I'm not
It
here to
was
suck
weird.
up.
It was weird. It was
Yeah,
weird.
yeah, it was. It was really weird. We all have to be accountable for our actions, and that's forever locked onto media, and it's going to be a meme when he gets fired for trading away AJ Brown.
Well, and that was the other thing that just deflated the whole building. Like they're screwed. They're
I mean,
done.
there's no way around it. They're in rebuild mode now.
Yeah.
No way around it. You can't
Jalen Burks
replace
will
a
be
guy
buried
like
in our next update. Trust me. I may actually do another update just to bury him because I've been trying to stay behind the markets for freaking 8 weeks on him. We've been ahead, but he just keeps tumbling. So I know I've not liked him at all the way, even pre-draft. What was the other guy?
Robert Woods. He's the clear wide receiver one.
Yeah, I love Bobby Trees. It's we'll see about the injury. I mean, yeah.
The beat writers aren't concerned at all. This is a guy who's finished top 20 in total fantasy points per game in each of the last 4 seasons, while competing for targets with Cooper Kupp, with Jared Goff at quarterback. And I think he's like one of the best basketball values. We're just like super low on him. Jarvis Landry, we have wide receiver 77.
I don't know what to do with him, man.
He doesn't give me a boner, but like he smashes wide receiver 77.
You're not asking him for a sleepover. I think Woods is definitely like a 2-spot bump instantly. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm talking about a tier bump. I'm talking about tier bumps.
I've always I like Woods on the Bills. I've always liked him, man.
He's not going to win you a championship, but he's like a perfect basketball guy, in my opinion.
I've been way ahead of the curve, by the way, on Austin Hooper. Like way ahead. He was like tight end freaking 45 like 2 months ago, and I had him real high. And he's at 25 now. I mean, he's catching, and I've talked to Teron Davenport recently. He's catching 60 balls for what it's worth.
Let me give my last 2 guys, and then I think Wes is going to hit on the rest of them. I think we need to be a lot higher on both Kadarius Toney and Wan'Dale Robinson. Toney, I mean, he had like the 5th best rookie wide receiver yards per route run season. Massive upside.
I mean, I want to love him like a son. I mean, let's be in waiting. I mean, we do have him over the market. That's the way I look at it. He
cares about football as much as you care about macrame, but he's damn good at it.
Who, Kadarius?
Yeah, that's what my source told me.
I'm a big Kadarius guy. I mean, I drafted him in our dynasty league, man. That was my 2nd round pick. I liked him a lot.
The concern with him is they drafted Wan'Dale Robinson, who you could argue is like sort of redundant. This is the new regime that has their draft capital tied to him. They handpicked him. This is a player my model absolutely loved. I think there's untapped potential there. Maybe a great fit for this offense. Some concerns about size and some other things, but I like both of those guys. I think one of them really beats ADP. I just don't know which one. Probably Toney.
Well, I will say this. Wan'Dale came on the show, and he was outstanding. Outstanding kid. Kadarius I interviewed solo, and, he's he's a rapper and all that. I still liked him though, but Wan'Dale was like really like outstanding. But again, I like Toney too. No doubt about it. But he was a little bit of a catastrophe last year. So I'm a little, I want to be in love with him this year. So hopefully the vibes are good. Well, we are 3 wide receiver spots right now ahead of him on the markets. Wan'Dale right now is a tough projection, I guess. We'll see about Sterling Shepard and all that good stuff.
I mean, Shepard's another Achilles guy, so I think he's done.
Yeah.
I will just say with
Toney, move up Wan'Dale.
I will say that Toney, he dealt with ankle, hamstring, quad, oblique, thumb, shoulder, and knee injuries last year, and he still ranked 12th in yards per route run. It was one of the top 10 best seasons by a rookie over the past 10 years.
Yeah.
And Wan'Dale was the number 1. Wes knows this. He was the number 1 rated all-purpose running back coming out of college, and he like switches over to wide receiver 2 seasons later, and he gets drafted. It was like one of the first wide receivers.
Oh God, yeah. He just played 2 years ago. Started playing wide out.
I was going to hit on Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jahan Dotson, but I figured Wes would beat me to the punch.
Yeah, I mean, I've got Amon. I've got him higher than that, but I know Kaplan. At least that's what some of the subscribers told me, that Kaplan's not as high on Amon-Ra, and who am I to argue with Adam Kaplan? So,
well, look,
I mean, I'll do it. I'll do it.
But look, let me start because again, I loved Amon-Ra last year. We ranked him freaking 40 spots over his freaking ranking.
That's right.
That was me. But
that was Wes.
Well, no, I mean, I'm sure my projection was influenced by Wes, but I did the projection, so I had him there, based on everything I was thinking, and I'm sure
I just mean like Wes was the guy pounding the table since like February as like, this is my guy. And then lo and behold, final 7 weeks of the season with David Blouse starting 4 of those games, he ranks second in fantasy points behind only Cooper Kupp, who just had the best season ever as a rookie on a shit offense. And it's like, if this were anyone else, or if this were a wide receiver who went in round 2, as Wes Huber said he should have been, then he's being drafted in drafted in round 2, round 3. So to me, this is just like, I mean, I have some qualms with it, but like, to me, this is just a fantasy points guy who just had this unbelievable season.
Yeah. Look, I work out in LA with some USC, big time USC people. And shout out to my guy, Matthew Bubar, who is a huge USC guy. He ties to the school and works for lead researcher at the Fantasy Zone channel at DirecTV. So he was telling me all about Amon-Ra the year before. So he loved Amon-Ra. So I watched him too. So yeah, I'm in. But can't you look at it and understand, like last year, like planetary alignment occurred. Like they freaking had no other choice but to feed him the ball. It's just not going to be the case.
Yeah, but I mean, like that's so far baked in, and like that's the only narrative you're hearing anywhere. Yeah. And at the end of the day, with David Blouse starting 3 or 4 games, behind only Cooper Kupp, and now he's ADP wide receiver 30, like. And again, like the Anthony Lynn effect, like once he was gone, Amon-Ra St. Brown became a superstar. And this is the same head coach. This is his guy. It worked. Why not go back to that? TJ Hawkinson, like I don't ever view him as like a target hog.
Yeah.
Jameson
and by the way, Scott, to your point, I have him tied for 13th in the NFL in receptions. I think that's really fair.
I mean, it is.
Wes?
But he was also hyper efficient on his receptions, and they were creative. They were using him in the backfield.
It was Tim Boyle.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Why do I keep saying that?
Yeah. No, it's okay. He's on
Packer,
the roster, so no.
So I mean, I'm giving him Amon-Ra. I mean, I'm sure I'm giving a weak YPR here. Let's see.
If you're leaving Amon-Ra out there at wide receiver 23, you're not getting him in any drafts. But at the same time, I think it's within the ballpark. I like him around the right after Marquise maybe, but I also like Rashad Bateman quite a bit.
Oh, me too.
Yeah,
big time.
So I wouldn't necessarily. I think when you talking at the early 20s, that's probably where I have him. So it's not that I'm not gonna. Okay, so one guy that
it's a tough one. I want to.
No, it is. When you get up into the top 25, it gets real tight. It does. But one guy is looks like Josh Palmer is going to run with the ones, and if that's the case, he's going to be playing for, we could say the best arm in the NFL.
So they're going to be like 11 personnel 80% of the time?
Well, that's what they did last year.
Right. I love Josh Palmer. I liked him last year.
Yeah, I do too. Just, just a slight bump. I think that would be fair. And then there was another guy. Who was it? Robbie Anderson. Did you see his reaction to the Baker Mayfield signing? He didn't make any friends that day.
Yeah, I mean, I spoke with David Newton, who is the beat writer for ESPN. I brought that up because
Who was the last person that talked trash to Baker Mayfield? It was Odell. And Odell stopped getting the ball.
Right. Well, don't you think Baker's going to come in there pissed and be like a good soldier, though?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. I do.
Yeah. I love Josh.
That's a good one. That is a really good one. Jahan Dotson, I think, is like this year's Elijah Moore. I think he outscores Elijah Moore. I don't think he's better than Elijah, but I think he outscores
we've been so
him.
ahead of the markets on him for 2 months, Scott.
Jahan, man,
but the markets are going to keep moving because he is just like the
what am I
star
going to do?
I'm excited about Washington, guys. I think they're going to be good this year. I think we're going to see I'm not going to say like 100% revitalized, but I think Wentz is going to surprise some people. You know,
I agree. I'm not drafting his ass. Team. I'm sorry, Wes, to cut you off, but I agree.
No.
So, Skid, you want Dotson higher? I mean, right now we have him at wide receiver 50, ADP wide receiver 60.
Yeah, I'd bump him up. Ron Rivera, when he drafted him, was like, this guy's going to start immediately for us, and he plays every wide receiver position. We're going to move him around.
You can drop Galladay and Burks. That can be
a
bump for Dotson.
Yeah, oh no, believe me. Every article I've written is all about drafting Jahan Dotson and fading Burks.
Yeah,
basically. Did you say Galladay?
Yeah,
I actually kind of like him. I hate to say it because
he needs a new quarterback that can get him the ball in tight windows.
I've always hated Galladay.
Grimes isn't the guy.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, but if Dayball injects some life there and the O-line protects him.
Scott, was I not all over the Galladay love? I believe in the guy.
Yeah, I was not.
Okay, I do, and I think he's a really good player, but that was with Matthew Stafford at quarterback.
Well, wide receiver 47, I think, is, it's pretty low.
Okay. I like Wan'Dale better than I do Kenny Galladay.
Wow. See, that's ballsy. Because Wan'Dale could be an afterthought for half the season. Kenny Galladay's the X.
He's out there catching balls during early camp.
I mean, I don't want to say anything negative about Wan'Dale. I love that kid.
Yeah. No, I like him. I like him a lot. Parker maybe a little low, but
I don't. Yeah, I've always been a Devontae Parker hater.
Oh, I think that's right, Wes.
You like it?
By the way, per sources, Tyquan Thornton is stealing the show at Patriots camp. Every single beat writer, coach, person in attendance is saying like this guy is like unbelievably fast. Like every time he touches the ball, you just laugh. And it's like,
of course,
that's not possible. No, but like knowing that, it's just like on such another level where he teleports and like they're so happy with him.
He doesn't have the strength to separate in man coverage. So
I mean, he did it on tape.
No, he didn't. Look at the numbers, brother. His man coverage stats are crap.
Oh, I'll have a tweet thread for you.
Okay. Let me see.
He's not doing anything.
And it's 8-yard dump offs he could just house at will. Like he's a freak.
It's all great news for Mac Jones. He's going to help Mac Jones' stats. He'll have 2 big games, and Kendrick Bourne will continue to be kind of a guy. They'll try and get in Parker. There's too many guys here.
Yeah, I feel like I'm not coming at you with your rankings. I'm more coming back at Scott with his arguments here.
Yes.
I just wanted to say watch the tape because I finally watched the tape on our prospect. But I obviously trust your opinion more than mine. But I mean, I didn't see any issues there.
All right. Well, this was very healthy. We didn't get anywhere, but no, I made some adjustments. I definitely did.
Yeah, no.
It's just
yeah.
You could put Jefferson wide receiver 1 as long as I have this documented somewhere.
I can't wait, man.
You guys need to put y'all need to place a couple bets.
Can't wait.
Nothing wrong with a couple.
I don't want to wish an injury on anyone, but no, you know what? I won't even say it because anybody watching who watched or listened to the radio show knows that I was on Cooper Kupp from freaking day one from the Senior Bowl. I called him the football nerd when I interviewed Wes at the Combine. So I love Cooper Kupp. So he is not replicating last year. It ain't happening. So we shall see.
I just thought of an idea. All right. If Cooper Kupp outscores Justin Jefferson or vice versa, the loser has to get their car wrapped with like the Fantasy Points logo. You ever see those wrapped cars where it has like the logo on it and it's just like all decked out? Yeah,
All right.
but you drive like a Mercedes.
Or
I drive like
how
a.
about shave your head?
The only issue with that is, or shave my. I'd shave my head. The only issue with that is like I'm the world's shittiest driver, so people would think so lowly of fantasy points, where like I'm cutting them off in traffic. And
Or John
I can say my car is 7 years old, so I'm not. Oh, sorry to cut you off there, Wes.
No.
I'll do it.
You shave your head, John, and Scott. If you lose, you got to shave your eyebrows.
I would do that.
Because you shaving your head, Scott, no big deal. You know, you're always changing stuff up. So
just for the record,
I think that's fair.
I've been in 2 on-air, on-camera shave your head bets in my life. 2-0, baby. 2-0.
Wow,
I like it. I like it. You don't want to go there with me because I'm already.
That hair's too pretty.
Oh, hey, you pull it off. You pull it off. I would be hideous bald. But anything else at tight end?
I think Cam Brate's a bit low until we see if somebody else is going to step up, because I think that it's still going to be a big part of the offense. They don't have Gronk. They don't have OJ Howard. So we know what how much the GOAT loves throwing to his tight ends. I'm not saying he's not gonna goat it. I mean, he's not gonna Gronk it up.
If they don't bring anybody else in of note, I'll probably move him up a hair or two for sure.
Yeah, that's it. Everything else looks. Although Darren Waller, man, that sketch.
Yeah, I know he's a tough one, man.
Yeah, and he's not going to be the number 1 receiver anymore.
Yeah,
nope.
Never been a big touchdown guy.
That's been a problem. Is that he's the number 1, and that's a tough ask for a tight end.
Yeah, it is. You're right, and maybe we'll see him more efficient with his targets, but at the same time, he's not going to get those 10 reception, 180-yard games that just bounce his season numbers up. You know what I mean?
It's a great point. Yep. There you go.
I got something that you guys aren't going to love, but I think we move up Travis Kelce, move down Mark Andrews, but keep their rankings the same. It's just I love Mark Andrews, but he had a 43% jump in fantasy points per game on a 67% jump in routes run per game. And there's just no way that happens again.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Okay. I hear you. And I was very high on him last year as well, but and I see him being a little overvalued. I have all year. Yeah. Okay.
Only other thing is, I don't know. I like Noah Fant. I don't have a good argument for him. I just think he's still really good and young, and
he does have
that 3 in receiving yards the last 2 years. What?
I'm thinking. So, are you really gonna argue the number 3 receiver for Geno Smith? I'm not.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I hear you, Scott.
I mean, I know. That's why I said I don't have a good argument. It's just.
But hey! I'm taking DK Metcalf in Dynasty right now because guess what? This is a bad offense, and guess what they're going to do? They're going to go into
get a quarterback
draft and get a quarterback, and this is going to be a sexy offense.
DK probably knows that too.
I want DK right now. That's who I'm going after, and I'm getting him really cheap in Dynasty. So that's a guy I'm targeting where nobody else wants him. Give him to me. Give him to me. Yep.
All right, that'll wrap it up. That was very productive hour and 18 minutes. So thanks for everyone for tuning in. Thanks for the time here. Our guy Ben Kukanis, for Scott Barrett and Wes Huber. This has been yet another edition of the Fantasy Points live stream here at fantasypoints.com.